All right. Hi, everyone. I've got to actually figure out how to share the screen now as well. When they ask you to do a talk and then they tell you 2 minutes before the talk, it's a new platform that you've never used before. And it's like, oh my God. So anyway, this is the way it goes. Right. I'm sharing my screen. Cool. So that's the hard bit over. And now it's time to do the easy bit, Playwright and testing. So yes, we're here to talk about AI-powered testing and browser automation with Playwright. Right, let's see if this works. Yes, it does. Okay, I've already had an introduction to me. My name is Debbie O'Brien, and yes, I work at Microsoft now. And my main role is building up the community around Playwright and around testing, and now obviously the Playwright MCP, which has taken over the world. And normally you used to see me like riding my bike and running all around the world, but now this is someone else is riding the bike and I'm just pushing. So this is my new life, but it's great fun. I wouldn't give it up for the world. But yes, I still do sport, but not as much as I used to. Okay, so what are we going to see today? I'm going to show you that how to use natural language to book a swimming lesson for my boys. I actually did this. This is true. And generate a Playwright test. The reason I chose this as an example is because I went to book the swimming lesson and it did not work. And I got really frustrated. And of course, as a developer, I just started debugging it and I found out it was a Chrome issue. And then I reported it. And then I said, I'm going to record the video of it not working, but they fixed it. They were very good developers and they fixed it on that Monday morning after my chat with them. So I then decided, you know what, I'll still go ahead and do the talk about this anyway, because they needed a test. So I wrote the test for them. So you're going to see how to save a trace of what the agent did, record snapshots of the steps taken by the agent, and then some self-healing tests and some AI debugging for those moments when AI doesn't really do what you want it to do. So let's dive in. Obviously, you should all know what Playwright is. Playwright is basically an automation library for automating the web and doing things for like testing that you don't want to do. It's able to click, it's able to browse, and it's able to do all that. And then you throw model context protocol on top of that. And MCP is just a standardized way to connect the AI models, the LLMs, the co-pilots, the agents to data sources and tools. So it's able to connect it to Playwright. And that basically just gives it superpowers. So Playwright MCP enables the agents to browse web pages and to do those kind of tasks that you don't want to do, or just generate tests based on natural language. So it's really cool. It uses the accessibility snapshots to do it, and it's fast and lightweight. And if you haven't used it before, seriously, I promise you're going to love this talk, and you're going to go walk away and you're going to start booking swimming lessons using the MCP server. So prompts, chat modes, instructions. This is really important. Some people use AI to write tests, and then they kind of say, yes, I am a 4-degree black belt. I'm looking at the chat at the same time. So some people use AI and it doesn't work, and then they're giving out and they're saying like, this is rubbish, this is whatever. It's really important to the chats and the prompts and the instructions. Let me show you my setup, right? Now, I probably spent more time on this than I did actually running the getting the test to generate. And you might say that takes too long and there's too much work involved, but you've got to think about this as this is the start to later doing so much more, right? So you're kind of architecting out things. So I'm in VS Code here and I've got a .github folder. Now inside that GitHub folder, I've got chat modes, instructions, and prompts. Let's look at instructions. These are my Playwright instructions, right? These are going to be included automatically because I put apply to all because I just do testing. And I'm basically setting the scene of like, you know, these are the tests that this is what you should do. This is how you write a test, right? I'm basically pointing it in the right direction. And then I have a chat mode. I'm giving it the tools that it has available to it, like the Playwright MCP. I'm telling it which model I want it to use because that's my trusted model. And then I'm basically like saying like, this is your job. This is what you need to do. This is what you're good at. So do this. Don't do anything else. Just do this. Right. And then prompts. This is the reusable prompt. We're generating a Playwright test from a manual test plan. Right. So this one I can use again and again, just giving it different scenarios, giving a different test plan. And this is the really cool thing about reusing these prompts, because you can create this once, you can spend a lot of time. Actually, I used AI to help me generate all this. But you can spend a lot of time setting this up, and then you just have a load of different prompts that you just like reuse again and again and again, and bang, you've got everything tested. Okay, let's jump in. The next thing I want to show you is exploring and generating. So I just broke this video down into little steps just so we could break it down. But this was me sitting down and doing this. But what I did before I actually went ahead and did this was I said, go ahead and do this and give me a test plan. I didn't write the test plan myself. I couldn't be bothered to do that. So AI wrote me the test plan. And you know what AI does? it gives you so much information, too much information. So I basically said, okay, AI, kind of calm down a bit. And can you just like, you know, give me a really short test plan? Because, you know, just give me the steps. I just want to book a swimming lesson in the hotel I'm flying tonight. So here's my test plan in short version that I want to feed into AI, right? I've no tests, as you can see here. We're going to generate them right now. It's going to take 5 minutes. So if you've got anything to do, don't move for the next 5 minutes. Right, I'm going to open chat. And I'm literally just going to put this in the context. So it has it in there. It's going to use that test plan. And then I get my prompt and I basically just run it here. I say run it in the current chat because that's the chat I have the swimming test plan in there. And then I go ahead and run it. And then I go have coffee. Right now, this is basically going to follow the instructions. I love that. Use 2 references. The references used there are the instructions, the Playwright instructions and the typical Copilot instructions. So they're the 2 automatically included. You'll see down the bottom, it actually has the test generator selected. Here's the to-do lists that it has created for itself. So it knows exactly what it needs to do. And it's going to follow those to-do in the right order and get everything done and come with a beautiful test for me. So that is the plan. So the first thing it has to do is start with parsing the test plan and exploring the website. So it basically has the test plan. There's the test plan. It knows now what it has to do. And it's going to go ahead and use the Playwright MCP server to open the website, to navigate to this website and basically complete this test plan. So here we go. This is the website opened up. And this is the hotel I'm going to tonight for the talk. I'm giving a talk in Croatia next week. So this is where I will be from tonight or from tomorrow. So I've asked it to take a screenshot. So as you can see, it's taking a screenshot there. It's using the Playwright MCP to do that. This is really cool. I just did it for no particular reason, but you could do it for documentation or just for like kind of show people, say, this is what I tested. But I just thought it was cool to add that in there. So it can see the menu structure and it needs to look more carefully at the main menu. It's having a couple of problems there and it's trying a different approach. And it uses, every time it kind of does like a click, it actually takes a page snapshot to kind of understand the scenario of what it needs to do. Now here it's using evaluate JavaScript to basically be able to click on something. And now it can see the experience menu item. And it's gone ahead again, it's using evaluate JavaScript here. And now it has the experience menu items and it sees the link. So it's kind of finding its way there. There you go. There's the experience at the academies. So it's going to go and find that swimming lesson for me. And it's going to basically go ahead and reserve it for me so that I can take my boys swimming. That's the whole plan. And it's doing all this while I'm just basically doing nothing. So there's the lovely swimming academy. So it's going to have to go and reserve that. And obviously, you could say, oh, my God, this is quite a slow process. You know, I would do this faster myself. And, you know, maybe you would. Maybe you could use CodeGen and you could totally just like, you know, do it yourself. Or you could maybe you're really fast at writing tests. You could totally do this yourself. If that's what you want to do, totally do it. But think about this as one test to later do a test for many other things. And I didn't have to write any code. So this is very low level code here. I'm really just testing the website. It is actually working because they fixed it, but before it wasn't working. So here we go. It's now, it's got the swimming details and it's going to select the date from the calendar. And it's going to pick the date, the correct date, 14th of September. Yeah, this is using GitHub Copilot, but I'm using a particular, instead of agent mode, I'm using my specific chat mode called test generator that I created myself. The reason for that is I gave it specific instructions and then I basically told it what I want it to do and what tools it's allowed to use. So that's what you can do, chat modes inside VS Code. Okay, so it's picked 9:30, so we're going swimming on the 14th of September at 9:30, and obviously I have 2 babies, so it's going to have to choose the party size of 2. Okay, perfect. Yes, it's clicked it, and once it does this, it then has to go and generate a test on everything. Now, here we got the usual Copilot. That was just to show you that it proved to you that it is Copilot because you were asking there in the chat. So we continue working there, and we got to choose 2. And once it finishes this, it's going to generate the test. Now, why is this better at generating a test than just basically asking Copilot or any other agent just go and generate the test? Because it's taking the page snapshots behind the scenes, so it has a better idea of the actual locators that it needs to use, and therefore it can create a much better test than just guessing. And also, I don't work for this company. I'm just testing the website. I don't have access to their code. So it would have to like make things up and hallucinate to try and figure things out. So by using the MCP server, it's navigating just like a user would. It's doing the steps that it was told to take, and then it's recording into its memory what it has done, what it has clicked on to be able to go and generate that test. So all the exploration is now done. The manual testing steps are complete, and it needs to create the swimming booking.spec.ts file with the proper Playwright test structure. And remember, we gave all that to him to basically know how to structure the test. So there's my test just created, and just even looking at it straight off, it looks pretty good. It looks like it's doing things. Now, there'll always be something that doesn't work, and there'll always be something that you're like, oh, that should be improved on. But in general, like, it's pretty good. This is like, it's a simple test for sure, but it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. So that took what, 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes, and we've got a test working. But now we've also got a whole structure set up. Now, because I told in my instructions that it has to go and run the test and then keep working and iterating on it until it passes, it's going to go ahead and do that. So that's really, really important. Now I can go ahead, I've tested swimming, I can now go ahead and test so many other things. So the next thing I want to show you is self-healing tests. So basically, same scenario here, we're just continuing, and it's going to keep iterating over it until it's able to fix itself. And it kind of opens up the HTML report, as you see there in the terminal. So it's able to then see from the context all the kind of error messages. So it's got in here the error messages from here, and basically there's the copy prompt button there. You could copy that. You could actually stop yourself and dive in and go, actually, do you know what? I'll do it myself. I'll debug. Or you could let AI figure it out by the actual prompt messages and let it run and kind of just reiterate over itself. So that's one way of just basically self-healing and letting it continue. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to skip this and basically do it myself because I love figuring out, you know, what's going on, what's wrong, etc. And you can see, like, here's the summary. I've successfully completed the task, and it, you know, does this whole thing and tells you that he's amazing and he's done all this cool things. So basically, this is good. And remember the screenshots. We'll look at them in a few minutes, but it's actually numbered out, all the screenshots, everything that it's done. So it's really, really cool. So once you're happy with that test, you can go ahead and keep that, of course, and then you can go ahead and go through the code yourself. And I highly recommend you do go through the code. I use the trace viewer here, so I'm using it just in the VS Code extension. You could also run UI mode, and I can go through my test and basically see every step of the way, what's going on, what's happened, is everything working, is there anything I need to fix, does everything look good? It looks pretty good. It's a really nice way of, like, you know, going over things and making sure that they're the steps that should have been taken. And is there anything there that needs to be fixed? Any problems? There's a cookie banner there that comes up. So does that need to be handled, etc. Cool. So let's go on to the next thing, which is record at cursor. So what happens when you have something that, like the cookie banner there, and it didn't pick it up? In this instance, it just wrote a comment, handle the potential cookie banner or overlays. So we can go along and we can click on record at cursor, which will open up a browser window. Look at the difference. It's a different browser window than the browser that the MCP opened. So we got to put in the URL in there, which will record it, which has been annoying. That's fine. And then we click on that accept cookies button. And now that's given us the exact recording of what the test needs to do to be able to get rid of the cookie banner. And that's just a simple way of basically just, you know, coming along and adding or modifying some of the test as you're doing things. And of course, a cookie banner, you might want to put that in an if, because maybe the cookie banner is not always going to show because of persistent context, etc., etc. So you can work, and then obviously just remove that await page to it that's duplicated from the recording. Okay. The next is copy prompt. So this is another thing. We saw that in the HTML reporter, but this is also available in the trace viewer. So if you're in UI mode or in the trace viewer, you basically have all your error messages here. I don't know about you. I hate reading error messages. I just can't read them. I just look at that and go, oh, can't read them. Just press the copy button. That's me. Copy and then paste it into your agent of choice. I'm using Copilot here, but you could be using whatever you're using. It's totally fine. You can paste it anywhere into any agent. And then, like, look, there's my agent. I'll just stick to agent mode instead of test generator mode. And this is the prompt that it gets, right? It gets full instructions. It gets like the whole test info, and it gets the whole page snapshot, the error details. So it's got a lot of info in there. And that's how it's able to do a really good job at debugging and figuring out. What's also really nice is it's able to give you a much easier to read, and you can understand, you know, what went wrong here, what it's suggesting as it fixes. There's a couple of options there, you know, that it says, you know, it can use this, you can use that. And so that's kind of really cool and really good for learning as well. Okay, next is Fix with AI. That's another way to debug your tests and improve them. So as you're working in VS Code, you can just get this beautiful error message here. And again, it's like, oh my God, but look at this little sparkly icon. You just click on that. And then basically it's just going to fix it right there in line for you. And it's saying like strict mode violation. That's a common problem that AI sometimes can't figure out. So, you know, it needs to kind of like redo over itself. So if you're having this problem, really easy fix. And you could say except here, or you could say, do you know what, I don't like actually that locator, can you just get my test ID instead? And you could totally just like reiterate in the ask or edit mode there and just kind of get it to do a better job. Excellent. Sorry, am I talking too fast? I always talk too fast. Screenshots and traces. Also, I'm like, I've got a clock here and I'm kind of like going, I've only got so many minutes. So they need to give me more time. That's the problem. Right, we talked about screenshots and traces, and we asked the AI to give us the screenshots and traces. Another reason I talk so fast is so that you know it's not AI, it's really me. So in here, AI created a screenshot for every step of the test it took. Now, this is really cool because you can really just go through those as well. Maybe you had to document them. Maybe you had to send it to someone as a report and say, like, we tested this. This is fully tested. So this is kind of cool. So definitely look at that. And then you get a trace, right? This is a trace from the AI, not the trace viewer that we see in while debugging. So this is the actual trace viewer that you basically, I'm going to just open Finder there and I'm going to zip it and then I'm going to open it up so you can see the trace that comes from the agent. So this is quite handy if like you just, I don't know, you walked off and had coffee and you let AI do its job and then you're like, I didn't watch the screen. Did it really do what it was meant to do? I have no idea if it actually did it. So you can kind of like really go ahead and check. So I'm just putting the zip file here, but you could have just left it where it was and then, you know, wrote the root. And basically you can just start up the trace in the terminal in here once you have Playwright running, right? So I need to be in a repo that Playwright is actually running. So there we go. Show traces. Did I spell it wrong? Typical. Okay, so this should open now. And once that does, we can go through. Now it's not a great trace compared to the trace we saw when we were debugging, right? It's not full complete. But there's a trace that the agent did, right? And we can kind of like see, you can see it took a screenshot, right? That's what the agent did. The agent took a screenshot. Like, this is cool. So if there was no screenshot there, you could say, hey, it missed the screenshot for that. You know, there's clicking on the dates. You can see it fully clicked on that. It clicked on the baby goldfish option. It clicked on the right time. So this is a really, really nice way of just checking over what the agent did and making sure that, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted and what I want it to do. And you even have access to the network requests in the console. I don't really want to highlight too much of the console errors in there because it's not my website, but you can actually see everything that's in there, which is kind of really cool as well. So how did I just do all that? How did I get those screenshots? Screenshots are actually by default. You just have to ask it in your prompt. It just works out of the box with the MCP server. But traces, you do have to configure. So I'm in VS Code here, just going to configure the Playwright MCP server. Just in case you didn't know where this was, it's very easy to find in here in the extensions tab. And you can just click on Playwright there and click on that gear icon to open the JSON file. But if you're using whatever else you're using, just open your JSON file where you have Playwright installed. Playwright MCP installed. And you can see -- save trace is what you need to save a trace. And now I did -- image responses omit because I didn't want the LLM to have access to my images. And that removes it from context, which just makes things a little bit quicker and stops it from getting stuck on having to like read through kind of images and adding that extra things in there because the images were for me and not for the LLM. But if you wanted the LLM, the agent, to have access to the images, then obviously don't put that in there. It's by default, the agent will have access to all your images. So just when you're doing a lot of screenshots, be careful and think about, do I want the agent to be reading through those screenshots as well and taking up that much time? Or actually, do you know what? They're just for me. They're just for documentation. I'll just, omit them. So that's kind of handy to know. Cool. So that was really easy to set up, right? And this is kind of it, right? We've just published new guides in Playwright, you'll see a new tab. It's literally brand new, a new tab called Agents. And I want you to just absolutely just go through it and get started. You just got to click on that button there. If you're not using VS Code, just open the README, and there's links to every other one way of installing Playwright MCP server. So go ahead and do it. And there's some lovely guides here on how to browser automate, how to explore and generate tests, how to generate tests, how to debug with AI. We covered that a little in the talk. So you can go ahead in your own time and go through this. You can emulate browsers. You can open up the Chrome extension or an Edge extension for browser profiles and states. So there's so many options in here that you basically can just have so much fun. But now we have documentations. So it's really, really cool. There's the connecting to the browser extension. This is really cool. So if you basically had a test user and then you're already logged in, then you can just basically be using that profile for running your tests, and it creates a little bridge between the profile that browser that's going to use. So that's kind of cool. And the configuration file, if you did have a lot of things to configure, then you can do that as well. And you got traces and screenshots. So I showed you how to do saves trace in case you forget. This is where it is documented. How to save a log for the MCP session, and the screenshots, they just work out of the box, but in case you wanted to, and I put some prompts in there as well to make it easy for you. You could also save PDFs just in case you want to do that, and you could set it to a different directory. And then if you're using agents on CI, just use headless. And then just some little things about network and security. And we've also got a new tool that I haven't even documented, which is about secrets. So you can check out the README as well for new things. Every time we'll keep updating the docs, and we'll keep adding new videos and new things. But basically, there's so much to explore, and it's really easy. So you have absolutely zero excuse. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to challenge you to basically say 15 minutes. Maybe 7. I'll give you 7. 7 minutes to install the Playwright MCP server and get it to do one thing and generate a test. Do it. I'm going to 7 minutes. That's all you need of all your time to be able to do that. So that is it from me. Again, check out our docs. Check us out on YouTube for all the videos that we record. And we have our Discord server. And I seriously encourage you to give it a try. We're in this world right now where AI is taking over. It's kind of like making us all scary. It's like, oh my God, if it does all that, what am I going to have a job? What am I going to do? Like, use AI to your advantage. Get it to do the boring things that you don't want to do. How many websites out there need testing? There are so many websites. Like, I couldn't book that swimming lesson. I had to do it on my phone. I had to contact the company and tell them that their site was broken, and they went and fixed it. Nobody else is going to actually call the company and tell them that. Only a developer would. So we need you. We need you all to be using these tools. We need the web to be a better place. So, and also you can just fill out forms and do boring stuff that like take those boring tasks away from you. You don't have to write tests. You can also just do a browser automation, scrape things, get some data, just have a lot of fun with the MCP server. Really, you're just going to love it. So that is all from me. And if you're in Croatia, I'll be in Croatia next week. Well, tonight I'll be in Croatia giving a talk there. I'm going to be in Portugal in a month's time. Do come and say hello to me at any event. And do reach out to me if you do have questions. You'll find me on LinkedIn. Send me messages. Find me on Twitter. Send me messages. Tell me what you're doing. Share with me what you're creating with Playwright MCP server. And yeah, happy testing.
Thank you so very much, Debbie. Loved it.
Thank you.
All right. Let's take just maybe 3 questions from the audience really quickly. So our first question here is, can you share the GitHub repo to look up and understand the markdown instructions you configure for the AI context?
Okay, so this one I created specifically for this event, and it's brand new, so I haven't actually published it. It's on my computer, but I do have other similar ones, right? So this one was tailored to this company website. And I think when you do something like with instructions, you need to tailor it to the company you're working for, right? And you might have like 3 or 4 different ones. So I've found that every time I've given a talk and given a presentation, it's been on something different, and I've had to modify things. So you can, in my GitHub repo, if you go to debbie.codes and click on my GitHub icon, there is a repo in there. I'll see if I can find it, but there's a repo in there for Playwright MCP prompts, I think it's called, and that has everything in there. There's also the official Microsoft one, which is awesome, Copilot, and there's some in there as well that you can get, not just Playwright, but like many others. So definitely, if you can't find it, just ping me on LinkedIn or something. I'll share the link with whoever asked that question. But yeah, and I will share this repo when I have time to actually, when I get off the plane, maybe next week after I've been on the beach. I probably should lower my hand, shouldn't
I? I noticed that earlier, but no worries. Awesome. All right. Thank you, Jeremy, for that question. The next question, let's see. So our next question is, when testing a web app that requires login credentials, where do we pass in the credentials to give access to Playwright?
Fantastic question. Never give anything to the LLM that you would not like to share with anyone. Like your personal stuff's your personal stuff. Don't give it to the LLM. So like I said, we have things like the extension that you can create a test profile, whatever. But we now just have, and it's not documented because it's brand new, but it is in the Playwright MCP README, which is secrets, and you can now save a secrets file with the actual. So it's just like env variables.
Nice.
And the LLM, basically you tell it to, like, I think it's called x_password, x_user, and then it can read the end file, but it doesn't actually read the end file, but it can actually log in and stuff. And that is brand new as of like literally, I need to create a video on it, but I'm getting on a plane, so I can't do that. So you're going to have to just wait a week, but you can find the documentation under the Playwright MCP for now.
Okay. Thank you, Damien, for that question. Let's now move to one last question here. Let's see. This looks like that one's got some good votes, but is pretty long. Let's try to go for a little bit shorter one here. Okay. We already have a Playwright test in place using page objects. Where can I tweak the generation to also use these page objects and or create new ones in the prompt or in the instructions?
Yeah, so it's always confusing, isn't it? Like, what's the difference between a prompt and instruction and a chat mode and things like that? So remember, like a prompt, well, so let's start with the instructions. Instructions are something that's going to be included all the time. So if that's something that's like you're instructing it to always follow these practices, if page objects are something that you're always going to use, then maybe it might make sense to put it in the instructions because that's how you do your tests. If page objects are only something you're going to do on one specific test, then that would be in the prompt perhaps, because it's like, in this specific one, I want you to use page object. That's not kind of a common scenario. I would say more in the instructions would make more sense. Because page objects would be across the project. And then the chat mode, you could put in there as well, but I think the instructions are probably a clearer one.
Awesome. All right. Pat, thank you for that question. And Debbie, thank you so very much for your time and the wonderful talk you've given us today. Really appreciate it.
Great. It was fun. And everyone, I'm saying, test it out. Go and use it. Go and have fun. You have absolutely no excuse. Daniel, I hope you've done it as well.
Awesome.
Take on the challenge.
I've done a little bit, but not near as deep as you have gone. 100%.